All right, you saw in the video of us putting this massive cabinet array and this giant 22-foot long single piece of countertop, a tile, all the work that went into taking my garage to the next level. You saw that, but it doesn't end there. It unfortunately requires 100, I don't think I'm doing Maddie estimation here, maybe 150 hours. Let's just say lots and lots and lots of hours of organizing. And I'm about, let's say I'm 50% of the way through of doing this. This just makes me feel at home, makes me feel correct, makes me feel like the force, the universe is balanced. There's a balance of the force here. Good and evil is now at equilibrium. What I'm going to show you here today, and this is what this video is titled, is having to do with tool grid. The beauty of tool grid is I can get, aircraft mechanic level organization with the tools that I already own. Or, in my case, aspire to own, and then I can always modularly change my drawer as needed. And that's the nice thing about the tool grid organization system over doing a dedicated foam inlay that if I got a new tool, what am I going to do with it? I got to either throw the foam away or put it next to it. So we're going to go through that here today and take you through the why you would consider doing this, why you would spend the time. It doesn't have to be at this level of end game where I'm at, and I'll show you a little bit of how you would get to a place where, hey, let's just take one drawer at a time. That's how I'm doing it. If I tried to take this on all at once, I would be paralyzed, so I wouldn't recommend that. So let's get into it. Here's the problem. This isn't like disorganized. I wouldn't say this is a mess. But I've got, these are some extra parts for the Rousseau stuff, but I've got this kind of conundrum. This would be for most people like a highly organized drawer. Stuff rolling around. I do have some little parts bins to put stuff in. These are this kind of crookedness drives me crazy. I've got, random stuff. I don't like that. I can't sleep at night. It just doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel like it should. You're lining up your sockets, you're lining up your ratchets, your screwdrivers, your hammers. It just doesn't stay in the position. The other problem is that I don't like that feeling when I don't have a specific spot that it's going to go. When I just throw it in the drawer and it slides around and it ends up where it ends up, it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't like that feeling. I know you don't like that feeling. If you can relate, I don't need to explain it to you. But those who can't relate, I think you could still aspire to have a drawer that looks like this, where everything has a spot, everything has a place, everything has a position. Now I'll explain to you in this video, it's not easy to commit. It's not easy to make a decision, because even this, I look at this drawer and say, well, maybe I didn't like where this is or that is. I may want to see how this is kind of turned a little bit. Is there a better way for me to position this? But the drawer like this versus a drawer that has stuff sliding around, it's just a better world. Better world for me anyway, and I'm sure it'd be a better world for you. So I hate these like car guy adages of you're missing a 10 millimeter. I've never missed a 10 millimeter in my life. Actually, I gotta admit something here. See a problem? I'm missing a 15 millimeter. Now here's the beauty. I know I'm missing a 15 millimeter, and I know that it needs to go there. I don't know where it went. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know why I don't have it. I do happen to have a second set of Kokens, so I'll go grab it from that second set. So I'm living in this bizarro dream world, but I've known that 15 millimeters fit missing, and I know that I need to either order one or get another one. And so the beauty of a system like this is that your tendency is going to be not to lose a part like that, because when you're putting things away, you can look at your drawers and you'll know when something's missing. That to me is worth a lot. All right, so let me explain to you what this is and then how to do it. And so these are boards, and then I have a couple of Milwaukee bags filled with some extra pieces. I do have a list of some more that I need to order. This is part of the process. Unless you just have infinite funds and you just order thousands of each piece and just have it in a bucket, you're probably it's going to take you some time to kind of figure this out. So I would advise you to start with one drawer. And the first thing you need to figure out is how many boards do I need? And the boards come in a box. So here's what a box looks like. Comes a box of 16, that's how we sell them. They are pretty expensive. Now I have an insane amount of tools, insane amount of drawers. So in most cases, you do a couple of drawers, you're gonna spend a few $100. So just know that going in, that you're gonna have to spend a little bit of money to get this organization. And I promise you, at the end of it, when you do a drawer and you have it set up and it looks amazing, you'll never think about that money ever again. It's the best money you'll ever spend. It's a lot like the Swiss Trax flooring, where it's a loop and peg system. So I have the little loop here, and then I have the peg. I guess it's more of a little insert than it is a loop. And so to put the boards together, they just snap like so. I did that one backwards, but you'd want it to go like this. And so now I have modularity. The reason why I like the 6x6 boards a lot is because when you look at this drawer, which I'm currently working on, I'm able to get this all the way up, pressure fit all the way to the edge. Whereas if you were doing a larger full size board, you'd have to kind of try to get past some of these, so you'd have to cut it short. And so I can cut this board, and I made the cut here. You can see this little piece that I made where I have it cut precisely. You use a circular saw, I use a jigsaw. I have a floor tile cutter that I use for the Swiss Trax, actually a carpet tile cutter. Notice I haven't screwed this one down yet. We'll dig into this drawer in a minute. But the boards are what you want to start with. And that's going to be your biggest expense, is having the boards. I would highly advise you to do black, just because it makes it easier for you to see. But these are what we call, I think they're better than the Mantis Tool Grid version, but these are the Obsessed Garage version where we put the little hex. The normal ones say Mantis Tool Grid. No offense to my good friends at Mantis, but I think the OG boards are the best ones, so you should buy them from me because ours are the cleanest looking with the little hex logo on there. So after you do the boards, then you need to figure out what pieces you're gonna need. This is an example of a wrench holder, and so depending on which part and piece you need, you're gonna end up buying 10 packs or 25 packs or 3 packs. So they have little pegs. All right, so you have the peg system, and the peg goes in the hole. So you line it up however you'd need. So these are wrench holders. This is a small wrench holder. And so what I would do is I'd figure out where my wrench goes. Let me grab you a wrench and I'll show you. So this is a small wrench holder, so let's grab a 10 millimeter, so I can douche it up here for you, 10 millimeter. And then what I would do, I think I guessed pretty well there. So I'd set it up so that my wrench stays in position. And then what you would, finalize this with is, if that was your final position, then you would put a screw in. And I have some screws here. Nope, I need these. I'll show you these as well. All right, here, I had some screws that I had sitting there. What I would do is I'd then remove my wrench, and I want to screw this in position. And so I have a Milwaukee, surge tool, which works really well for this. And I would set it to 2, so I don't over torque it because it's metal into plastic. It's a T20 Torx. And then what I would do is put this in position. I don't want to make a hole in my board, but then I'd screw it into place. Actually, let me just show you. Brand new board, so I'd torque that down. And let's say, oh shoot, I got it wrong. I wanted to move it later. If I do remove the screw, you can still see it, but it's not, it's not in your face. So you have the ability to kind of move stuff around. And so all the different types of holders that exist would get screwed down as well. You have, here's a 3/8 inch, socket. So this would go like so, and you'd screw that in. You have large wrench holders like this, which you can do. By the way, Obsessed Garage, I had them do them all in gray. So we custom ordered in gray. They generally would be red or blue, which I don't like. Other types of holders you have, this is a tool tip or tool handle holder, something like that. It goes into position, and you can move it in, in increments of, one board at a time. You have large corners. We have, I don't want to go through all this stuff for you. You have universal holders. We've got large cam holders. You've got large universal holders. And I'll show you these in practice here in the drawers and corners. I use corners a lot as well. So there's different types of pieces, all of which are pretty easily explained on the OG site. So my advice is don't let this paralyze you. Start with the boards, figure out roughly how many boards you need. And then I would add a lot more of the items than you think you need, because you're going to need a lot of them. And nothing's worse than when you're almost done with a drawer and you're missing some stuff. Our number one returned item is tool grid by design, in that people buy extra and then just hit up support and we can take it back and return. You don't want to do that too much because you got to pay to ship it back to us. But it is an option for you. But let's say I was working on something. I had a screwdriver, a wrench, a ratchet, I had a couple of other wrenches, some pliers, some screwdrivers, and I had these all, I used these to work on something. I didn't do a good job of making this a real world situation, but let's just say these tools I had out. This process of cleaning and putting my tools away is why you would put all the work in, why it's worth it. It's the same reason why I'd spend 30, 40 hours correcting my car. It's so that when I'm done, when I'm cleaning it, when I'm done using it, I can clean it and enjoy the user experience of cleaning it. It's very similar to that for me. And so if I were going to put this all away, now I'm still working on my memorization here of where everything is, but I would have a spot. I know where this stuff goes. As soon as I open the drawer, I know roughly which drawer I'm going to go to, and I know that I'm going to put these things back where they belong. I have everything labeled. Okay, so 20 millimeter, I know that my 20 millimeter goes here, and then I have my 22, and 22 goes here, like so. And I noticed I put that in backwards, that's why it wouldn't fit. And so then I put that in the right way. I got a couple of screwdrivers out here. I know that my Phillips is here, flatheads are here. So I have a position, I have a spot. Some things have a label, some things don't, but it becomes very clear where I'm going with everything. This goes here. And so I can put my tools back where they belong. I know I'm missing something here. I know Ryan took that straight, or what is it, needle nose pliers, because he took it fishing the other day. I know that's missing. That to me just helps me stay organized. This is a microcosm of life. This is what my brain looks like. This is what my finances look like. This is what the interior of my car glove box looks like. This is what everything should be like. It should have a position, it should have a place, and it just helps me function. My shirts, my shoes, my toothbrush drawer, everything has a place. So why wouldn't my tools? And so Tool Grid helps me organize that, put it back together. So after I finish the project, I lay out all the tools on the bench, and boom, 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 I can put them back into position. That to me is what life's all about. Okay, so I'm in the process of putting this drawer together, and so the way I envision this drawer happening is this is my kind of measuring equipment, stud finder, SPL meter, my ammeter, tape measures. But notice I just kind of rough fit everything in here. I'm still working through this drawer. What goes in this drawer? How does it go? I don't really love how this is set up, but what I would do is I'd just think about, and I'd be moving stuff around and kind of dry fitting everything where I don't screw it down until I'm ready. And so I've got my different blades here, and I'm like, do I like this? Do I not? Is this where this needs to go? Am I going to use these most often? Should this go in the back? And so the beauty of the Tool Grid system is I have the ability to adjust. Do I want to put these in a multi-purpose holder? Would this be better to do it this way? And so I make sure that it is as obsessed as I am, as crazy as I am, I don't overthink this. I just start moving. Just start putting things wherever it feels right. Now, I'm blessed and cursed simultaneously with with a natural level of organization. But do I prefer it like that? But then it messes me up because I know that I can't fit this in the drawer because it's too tall. And so do I lay this one flat and then line these all up like so? And then I test fit to make sure it can close, or would I prefer to just kind of hold them captive here with some corner holders? What do I want to do? How do I want to do that? And so I'm constantly thinking through this stuff. And by the way, I'll probably do this 2 or 3 times before I lock everything down. You know, with like the screwdrivers, I've been second guessing my choice here in that I have, in order to sort of maximize my drawer space, my straight blades are all beautiful, nice straight in a row, but then that forced me to kind of put my Phillips a little funky. And the most used Phillips is a PH2, and I have it far back in the drawer. So, you know, do I take my PH1s and swap those? I'm not really sure. And so that's just stuff that I'm constantly thinking about. But I probably won't change it because now I have it committed to memory where the PH2 is right there. I know it's there. I know where I'm going to put it back. I know where I'm going to grab it. And so once you commit, I promise you, once you commit to putting something in place, your brain will eventually sort of correlate that to being the right spot. Even if it isn't technically correct, even if you made a mistake on putting some things that weren't like-minded together. And so things that I also thought about were, you know, when I did my 1/4 inch 3/8, my 1/4 inch ended here. I'm like, well, shoot, that's only half a drawer. I know I can't fit all of my 3/8 in the same drawer. And so then I'm thinking about it, I thought about, well, should I just start the 3/8 in a new drawer, or how should I do it? Should I put all the sockets here, all the ratchets here? And so I decided I'm going to think about this like reading a book from left to right. And so I continue my 3/8 here. So I continue it, and then when I finish my 3/8 set, then I go into 1/2 inch, and I continue my 1/2 inch here. And then the 1/2 inch continues down into this drawer here. So you're going to have to make some decisions as you go through the process. It's also nice to have some flex space. Like I left some space here because of what I've done in the past is I've done it where I tuck these tightly, and I would have started this row up here because I have a couple of extra spaces, and I would have kept it really tight. And the disadvantage of doing that is then it kind of gets a little confusing, gets a little overwhelming. But I tell you what, I probably spent 15 or 16 hours on this drawer, putting labels on every single thing, getting this set up exactly the way I want. This 15, 16 hours, I've basically committed to memory. I know where my 12-point SAE sockets are without even thinking about it because I spent the time with this drawer. And so now if I come out and I know I'm walking into the house or up from the house and I know, shoot, I need a 16-foot tape measure, I know it's going to be over here in the corner. Or, man, I really need I think I need a PH3 screwdriver. I know it's going to be right here, or PH3, PH4 if I'm working on something with a big head on it. I'll know exactly where to go. So having tool grid helps me operate more efficiently, both taking out and putting it away. So here's another drawer I'm currently working on. This is my gear wrench. I actually really like these. And so what I'm doing here to show you what I would do is I've got all of the tool grid labels here. Since I have a lot of extra drawer space, I've decided to not try to clog things. And so I'll find something that goes in these back sections. And so I kept it in a much less tight setup. But notice I've got all these labels on here. And so this is part of the commitment. You don't have to label your stuff, but I'm a big fan of labeling. And so what I would do is I'd take these out one at a time, like so. And so the first one was a 5/16. Apparently I have a lot of 5/16. So this is where it gets a little nutty. And then I have a nice set of precise Knipex tweezers here. And I would go and I would put this into position. Now you have a choice. You can put it on the side here. For all of these, I'm going to do through 3/8. I put it on the side. On the 1/2 inch ones, I'll put it on the top. But I would go through and I would label each one of these, screw it down, and then put it back into position like so. One at a time, all the way through the whole process. And so you can see why this would take you some time if you really wanted to set it up full obsessed level. I think it's worth it. But you know, it's a step that this is the first time in my tool grid life. I've been working with tool grid for 4 years now. This is the first time where I'm going to have my entire set of tools screwed down and labeled. I have them screwed down many times, but I've never had them all labeled, and so I'm going to get that all done. So let me show you where I'm at with these drawers. Like I told you, I'm about halfway through. I would start with one drawer if I were you. Start with your screwdrivers. It's the easiest one to do. You get tool tip holders and you get handle holders, and buy a bunch of those, get a bunch of boards, and then you may not have a 60-inch drawer like this, but if you had a 36 or a 30 or a 24 or something like that, you cut your boards to fit and then you lay it out. This is my screwdriver drawer, which then I transition into my bit holder type screwdrivers for more obscure stuff like Torx and Allen and Hex and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. This to me is just a sort of a working ecosystem that I'm going to work through over time. As I get a new tool, I may add or subtract depending on use. Then under here, I have my wrenches. So these are all my SAE wrenches. I have a little bit of expansion room. That's another nice thing to have, is to have a little bit of expansion room depending on, you know, how many tools you have today versus what you think you might have in the future. I don't have a lot of expansion room because I certainly don't need all these tools, but the expansion for me would be just more obscure stuff, more things that add up. This drawer here, I have quite a bit of space, but this is SAE, and then adjustable wrenches from Iriga out of Spain. My Knipex and grip-on stuff, vice grips and pliers, cutters, dikes, all that kind of stuff. I like this drawer a lot. This is what I call my car guy drawer. This one I haven't bolted down yet because I'm not complete on it, but I have some sonic foam, which I then cut tool grid around so it can work together. So if you do have some foams, or you have some foams that you really like, and you have some extra tools, this is a good combination to do, where buy some sonic foam or buy whatever foam you have and then tool grid around it so you can fit the extra screwdrivers, the extra ratchets, the extra stuff that you've accumulated over the years. But this is my car guy drawer, picks, spanner wrenches, stuff like that. And then down here in the bottom drawer is where I have my hammers, and I have spaces because I need punches. So punches will go here. These are Osca, Thor, primarily Osca and Thor hammers that I've kind of laid out in a somewhat organized fashion. Then you saw the top drawer. Then I have the crown jewels. 1/4 inch Koken Hazet Stahlvilla is what I primarily use. Some Wera, a couple of Wera ratchets in here. So these are Hazet, these are Koken, Stahlvilla for the torque stuff. Into 3/8. 3/8 continues in the drawer down here into 1/2 inch. Koken only makes one ratchet in 1/2 inch, so I had to supplement some Hazet stuff as well, some of the 80 tooth Hazet. That transitions into all of my 1/2 inch sockets, 1/2 inch Hex, Torx, triple square. These are stud tools for taking out studs from Koken. And down here is the new drawer I'm putting together. This is the tap and die set, and then the impact stuff. And then down here is a drawer that I haven't tackled yet, so you can kind of see my pathway here. This is all my park tool stuff. And so this was from the old drawer. And so I've got a lot of work to do here. So this is my main tool set in the 60s. Over here on the right is where I'll have like houseware type, Milwaukee type tools, where I have my bit sets. I'm going to grid this here, and so I have room to put longer bits on the side that don't fit in the cases. So this is a work in progress. For example, these will go here, and I'll tool grid those. I'll also put corner holders so these have a little bit of space in between and they stay in position. So remember, to me, the garage is the anchor of my obsession. Now, I'm not fortunate enough that I can just take the drawer, open it up, and take my obsession, throw it in there and go into the house and leave it so it follows me everywhere I go. But if we're just talking about the garage, having a drawer that looks like this is a microcosm of life. Same thing goes into the pressure washing solution. or the bottles. I have one bottle out on my outdoor kitchen because I was using that to clean, so that's driving me crazy. I got to go get that and put it into place. I know it's missing. The vacuum solution, where I actually have a custom vacuum where the OG vacuum is in the other room, and we plumbed it in here into the garage. My bikes, the lighting, the tools, it all fits, it all goes together. The audio in here, the video, even the garage door openers. I mean, everything in here has a place, everything in here has a specific goal, and that's to be functionally excellent. And I am not even close to the end of the rainbow when it comes to discovering all of this. But the tool grid system is a major part of that ecosystem of obsession that I live in and thrive in, and really suffer if it's not like this. And so Tool Grid is the ultimate solution to help me organize not just my drawers, but kind of my life. Without this, my life is out of balance. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. This is a microcosm of what all things should be like. And even things that I'm not so great at, I would like to think that I'd at least aspire to get to look like this drawer looks.